Hi everybody, I just thought I'd make a short video tonight. I'm getting ready to fly and all of these things have batteries in them that need to be charged. And coming from a RC hobby background, battery maintenance and health is very important to me, so I thought I'd make a video about it because I realized maybe not a lot of paramotor people know about batteries. There's three main types. The first two are very similar. Lithium ion, which is what you're going to find in most of your hard packed cases, like this individual 2170 or 18650 battery if you're a vape guy. Also found often in your radios. That's a lithium ion battery in there. And GoPro uses lithium ion batteries. They're the more stable of the lithium type. And then we also have lithium polymer. My knockoff GoPro, my open gauge project, shameless plug, open-gauge.com. And my strobe lights use lithium polymer batteries, as well as, if you had an easy start or a dual start, your starter battery for your paramotor, chances are it's lithium polymer. Higher performing battery type, but slightly less safe. They aren't encased in a hard package, but they discharge faster. They're capable of putting out more power. And then finally we have nickel metal hydride. This type has been around for a long time and is losing favor in most applications. They have lower discharge, lower energy capacity, higher weight, but they are still popular. In my aircraft radio here, a Yaesu Aviator Pilot, it uses a nickel metal hydride battery, and you'll see right there on the sticker it says NIMH, nickel metal hydride. NICD, NiCad, which is what the radio was originally made for, very similar battery type, just not as resilient. So nickel in general is what I'll be referring to that as. So let's go over nickel first, because it will be the fastest and easiest to explain battery type, and it's not used very much anymore. Nickel likes to be used. So I tell my customers in the hobby industry to treat it like a muscle, exercise it often. You'll want to charge and discharge all the way up, all the way down. If you have to put it away for extended periods of time, generally I tell people to leave it fully charged, and then before you use it, or if you have a event that you need to have maximum capacity for, charge it, drain it all the way, and charge it back again. These battery types don't like to be sitting around though. If you have a choice, draining it all the way and charging it and then draining it all the way once every 3 or 4 weeks is probably your best bet. When it comes to radios like my Yaesu here, I like to leave it on my drive home. I know it doesn't drain it all the way, but hopefully it gets it close to empty. So I use this one for monitoring weather at my training field and also listening to air traffic, and I basically leave it on the entire time I'm training. One thing for all of these battery types, if you can access the battery itself and see the terminals, it is going to be indispensable that you get yourself a nice meter here. This is a Fluke 110 Plus meter. I use this at my day job quite often. And usually you want your battery for nickel to be fairly close to empty before you charge again. So this is 7.3 volts. If you look at your battery pack, it'll have a voltage rating. This one is a 7.2 volt or a 6 cell nickel metal. 7.2 is effectively dead. It's 1.2 volts per cell. Close enough. You know, the closer you get to zero, the healthier the battery will be. But I haven't used this in 2 weeks now, so that's to be expected. I'm going to charge it all the way up before I use it again, and then hopefully that will be used all the way until it's dead, down to close to 7 volts again. So basically, nickel batteries And generally your rechargeable AA, AAA types, use them till they're empty, and make sure you're doing full charges and full discharges every time you use them. Now for lithium, which has clearly taken over the stage. The biggest difference between lithium ion and lithium polymer, besides the safety, is where you can discharge them to. Lithium ion you can discharge further, all the way down to, I think it's something like 3 volts flat. Lithium polymer really doesn't like to drop you below 3.7 before taking damage, but lithium polymer you can squeeze out more power faster out of it. That's the biggest difference. So this is a moly cell P42A, which has a discharge rating of 10C. That means I can discharge it 10 times faster than its listed capacity of 4.2 amperes, which is impressive for lithium ion. Lithium polymer, this is a mediocre battery. It's listed and rated at 50C, which means I can discharge it 50 times faster than the capacity, which is 5.2 amps. Not necessarily a function of the larger amperage, though it does help. So when it comes to storing batteries like your starter battery, you really should have a decent charger for it. The charger you get should have a option called storage, and you should use it, in my opinion, after every flight. I've heard that every single time you charge up a battery, if you leave it for 1 day, that's like putting 1 cycle through the battery, which builds a strain. These lithium batteries do have a lifespan of a couple hundred charges. I'll put that on the screen if I'm wrong. And if you leave it for a month, that's the same as 30 charges not being used. You're just letting that go away. I know of people who have starter batteries who have charged it once, flown maybe 5 times over 2 months. They go to charge it again, and it says the battery's shot. Now they're out a $70, $80 battery at worst case scenario. So make sure you're putting your battery in storage charge before or immediately after your flights, and recharge it before you fly it if you're really worried about it. It doesn't take a lot of juice to start our paramotors, and it doesn't use anything to keep them running, so not something you need to worry too much about. When it comes to cameras like the GoPro, they use lithium ion. Some of them, like the knockoff GoPros, use lithium polymer little packs. The biggest thing is leave them around half. I'll fire this guy up here. This is the wing camera I usually use. And you'll notice down here in the corner, I'm at 45%. Maybe you can't notice. I don't know. 45% battery, which is right around half. Pretty good place to have it in general. Storage charge for lithium ion and lithium polymer batteries are going to be somewhere around 3.7 to 3.9 volts. If you can get it anywhere in that range, especially with something that doesn't actually give you voltage, you're doing a really good job. Not full, not empty, somewhere in the middle. I'd say 30 to 50% would be fine. Radios, it gets even harder. This is a Baofeng UV5R that I use for ground communication. You'll see up here in the top, maybe you can't see, it says I've got full bars. All 4 of those bars for battery power are full. Now, if you want your battery to be at 3.8 volts, you have to realize that some of these batteries, like this Baofeng, is actually a 2-cell lithium battery. If you look at the back of it here, it says voltage 7.4 volts. So we take the 3.7 volts per cell and multiply by 2 to get 7.4. This is a 2-cell battery, which means realistically, storage charge, we'd want somewhere around 7.8. Looking back at our meter here, we're at 7.6, not too far off, and we're above the minimum 7.4 or nominal 7.4 voltage. So I'd say this is fine for storage, but we want to recharge this before counting on it for anything. And one more thing, my lights. If you don't have something that has any kind of battery indication, go by how it operates. If you're looking at lights, we'll notice that this one is much brighter than that one. So this guy is pretty dead. Just as a comparison. So this one, I would say, it's impossible to tell because there's a charger brick and a lithium polymer battery built in. But I'd say it's somewhere down in the 3.7 to 3.5 range because it's not putting out the juice we'd expect. This one is much brighter. Generally, with my lights, these say they last for 6 hours on strobe and something like 2 hours constant. When I get home after I've charged them, I will turn them on to their constant setting, stick them under a pillow or a table or something where they won't bother me, and I'll leave them running for 45 minutes, give or take, just to drain the juice out of them. You don't want those left at full charge, but you don't want them to be that dead. I mean, that's really dead, comparatively speaking. So I hope you found this video useful. We use a lot of different batteries in flying, especially if you're parablogging, and hopefully this information will help you go longer without having to replace the batteries in your devices, and you can get a lot more use out of them. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Maybe hit the subscribe button if you really like the channel. If not, sorry. Hopefully you have a good day, and we'll see you in the skies.